Imagine you're a world-famous pianist. You've sold out Carnegie Hall. You have a recital tonight at Alice Tully Hall in Lincoln Center. And then a few hours before you're supposed to walk on stage, you find out your piano is gone. Welcome to Living Pianos. Robert Estrin here with a story that, if you care about pianos, is going to make your jaw drop. What happened to pianist Garrick Ohlsson in 1972 is one of the most remarkable episodes in the history of the concert piano world. And it tells you something very important about what's really going on behind the scenes of the piano industry, something that, as someone who has sold pianos for decades, I can tell you is not ancient history. First, a little background. In 1970, at the Warsaw competition, the Chopin competition, one of the most prestigious piano competitions in the world, a young American pianist named Garrick Ohlsson did something no American had ever done before. He won first prize. He became an international star almost overnight. And like virtually every major concert artist of his era, he was a Steinway artist, meaning that whenever he performed, sight unseen, he would play a Steinway concert grand. Now, being a Steinway artist sounds glamorous, and in many ways it is. Steinway provides instruments at venues around the world, technical support, and the prestige of being associated with the most famous piano brand in history. But there's a flip side to relationship, and Garrick Ohlsson was about to find it out the hard way. In September of 1972, a reporter from the New York Times visited Ohlsson at his home before his upcoming New York recital. While they were talking, the reporter noticed his piano and asked, "Is that your Steinway?" And Ohlsson said, essentially, "No, it's my Bösendorfer. They're made in a small factory in Vienna, a bit like a Rolls Royce. Wonderful, but not common." Here's what actually went into the newspaper. The Times, the New York Times, condenses whole explanation down to this. Ohlsson gestured and said, "This is my Bösendorfer, the Rolls Royce of pianos." That's it. Those exact words. In print on the same day as his New York recital. And here's the thing. When Steinway saw that line, the Rolls Royce of pianos, applied to a competitor, they didn't just call Ohlsson. They didn't send a letter. They sent a truck to Alice Tully Hall to remove the Steinway concert grand that Ohlsson had already arranged for, that he had already rehearsed on the day before, just hours before curtain. And if that wasn't enough, and this is the detail that still stuns me after all my years in this industry, they also removed the middle C from the hall's house Steinway and listed it as under repair. So even the backup was gone. Left without an instrument hours before showtime, Ohlsson's team scrambled and they found a Bösendorfer, the very piano he'd called the Rolls Royce. And that night, he walked out on stage at Alice Tully Hall and gave, by all accounts, a triumphant recital. The story made every paper in New York the next morning, not just the music pages, the news pages. Then Newsweek got involved. They called Steinway for comment, and this is what Steinway said, officially to a national publication, quote, "Not only did Ohlsson not play a Steinway last night, he'll never play one again." Think about that. The most famous piano company in the world publicly declaring war on one of the most celebrated young pianists in the world over a newspaper summary of a casual remark about a different piano. Now, here's the really interesting part. At least from my perspective, as someone who's been inside this industry for decades, Ohlsson was what he called an outcast for about a year. But eventually the two made peace. And then in 1977, he walked away anyway. He became a Bösendorfer artist. The very piano Steinway punished him for praising, he was playing. Well, now he's currently a Steinway artist, although he has maintained a close relationship with both companies. And what does this tell you? It tells you that when an artist with real ears and real independence is free to choose, sometimes they choose something other than the most famous brand. Not because Steinway makes bad pianos, they make extraordinary pianos, but because the best instrument for any given artist, any given piece, any given hall, any given day might not always be the one with the most famous name on the fallboard. That's something I've witnessed my entire career, and it's something every serious piano buyer deserves to know. If you want to go deeper on how to really think about choosing between concert-level instruments, not just Steinway and Bösendorfer, but the full landscape of what's out there, I have an entire series here on this channel on Living Pianos videos comparing these instruments in real playing conditions. It's funny how people ask me, what is my favorite piano? They ask me this all the time. And I tell them honestly that it depends upon the specific piano and the specific piece, because each piano brings a different voice. And if you're new here, this is exactly the kind of conversation we have all the time at Living Pianos. You're welcome to subscribe. The piano world has always had drama, competition, loyalty, and sometimes a very thin skin. But what endures is always the music and the players who follow their ears wherever that takes them. I'm Robert Estrin. Any questions, put them here in the comments here at livingpianos.com or on YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.